What's the secret of change? We don't fight the old. Instead, we focus on building the new. Welcome to the table of change. Come on in and have a seat at our table.
Mark Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson, you know, when I hear the name Ferguson, I know that you are some relative of mine. He was born in San Salvador. Proud parents, Maxwell Ferguson and Beulah Davis. He's the fifth child. He's married to Shaniqua Moss. She's now a Ferguson. His education, San Salvador Central Secondary High School. He also went on to a plumbing school where he is also a proprietor. The business name that he has is Just in Time Plumbing and Tiling. He also is the president of a nonprofit organization, the Huey Boys. Child of the King. He gave his first sermon in February 6, 1986. He's a licensed preacher on November 2000. He also furthered his education. He got a master's degree from the University Bible College of Knoxville, Tennessee in 2004. He also has a certificate for the science of preaching in 2012. He recently, this is what blew my mind, he recently completed his doctorate certificate and, sorry, I didn't get that, Christology?
Yeah, Christology.
Right, from the University of Orlando in 2023. I am so proud of you. Even though I knew you for all those years, I didn't know you had all of this education under your belt. So listeners, from Nassau, you can call in at 325-5403 through 5. Family Islands is 300-8255. If you want to sponsor the show, you can call 449-4106. Mr. Ferguson, just tell me a little about you in your words. And I want you at the same time, what do you think about service?
Okay, thank you. I'm honored to be here. Every time I get an opportunity like this, I am humbled and I am literally brought to tears because when I think of where I've come from as a little boy growing up in San Salvador to what God has done in my life and through my life, it is breathtaking. It's amazing the wonders of God and what He has done. And so just a little bit, you would have said quite a bit already. I was born and I grew up in San Salvador, did my primary and secondary schooling in San Salvador before moving off to Nassau. And there I kind of, at that time, my mind was wide open, and so I was trying any number of things until I locked into plumbing, and I got my master's degree in plumbing. And then I knew from a very young age, and it was confirmed through my granddad, Reverend Frank Davis. Mm-hmm. One day before he died, he called me to his bedside and he said, "Son, God has called you to preach."
Wow.
And I didn't really understand it then as I do now, but it's clear to me now what his words meant back then. And so just on that, I ran with that, and I furthered my knowledge in the Bible, as you would have mentioned. I went to seminary, I got my master's in theology, and then I just recently got my doctorate in theology. But that, for me, really, as you would have said, you didn't know it. It's because I really don't really put it out there. It's good for its time, but I'm thankful that God was able to bring a little boy from San Sal and to make of him something. And, I want to say this from right now, that it's not always where you start. Sometimes people allow their starting point to determine where they end up. But if I look at where I started, I perhaps would not be in this chair today. But it's the goodness of God and persons praying for me and praying with me that caused me to stay intact and to stay on the right track. And so I'm thankful for that. Persons, the elderly in San Salvador in particular, I'm thankful for them offering up prayers. And it is their prayers that has caused me to come to this point, and I'm humbled. I'm honestly humbled.
So tell me a bit, when you're talking about service, because you fly, do you do a lot of flying back and forth to San Salvador? What flight do you go on? What airline do you fly on? And what kind of service can you share that you receive?
Yeah, it's interesting that you would ask that. In fact, when you called me, giving me the invite for this show today, I had just gotten off a Bahamas Air flight from San Salvador, which was on Sunday. And that too is interesting because I was driving with one of Bahamas Air's, I dare say, with Bahamas Air's finest pilot, whose name is, we call him Ali. But Ali Walker.
Walker.
He's a captain on the 737. I don't know of anyone else in Bahamas Air whose commitment to his work and to his country as a pilot that is better than Ali's. He's stellar in his work as a pilot. Let me just share with you something about Ali, and then I'll get back to my time in San Salvador and back to service. A few months ago, Ali was in San Salvador on vacation, and Bahamas Air needed his services. This was a call made to him on a Wednesday, and as you perhaps would know, there were no flights into San Salvador on Thursday. Ali made provisions, to cut a long story short, he made provisions to catch a flight that was coming to San Salvador, a private airline, to get out of San Salvador back into Nassau, just to fly a group of persons out of Nassau into Exuma. And he could have just said to them, no, I can't do it. But his commitment to his work and to his country was so great that he thought it necessary to do all that he could. And so I give you that. Now, getting back to service, I was in San Salvador this weekend, and from Friday to Sunday. And one of the challenges of San Salvador, and as you would know it from the media and from other places, that we are challenged in San Salvador with a continuous constant flow of water. Sometimes the water goes off, and it goes off for an extended period of time. There is a young man in San Salvador who works for the water company. His name is Alfred Butler. And I wanted to have conversation with him because he's a member of the UA Boys Club. And he was intent that he had to restore water to the island. And our conversation could wait. Mr. President, you have to wait because I need to make sure that the island receives water. And that's the kind of service that I think all of us are to we need to try and make ourselves available for that kind of service where we put ourselves aside and we look at the greater good of making sure that persons who are in need of us, who are around us, who require our services are supplied. People can easily go into a shell and just look at me. But service really is what you give and do for others. And I want to say this as I end, that the greatest example of service is this example, that a man laid down his life for his friends. And that is speaking about Jesus Christ. He gives, and he has given to us the greatest example of service.
You know, I heard there was a video going around concerning an airline service, and what I'm going to do right now is I want to hear that right now for myself.
Okay.
So let's listen up. And listeners, feel free to call in 325-5403-5. That's the Nassau callers. And Family Island, I always love hearing from the Family Islands. 300-8255 from the Family Islands.
We've been here at this airport now from 3 o'clock for a 4:35 flight. This flight has been delayed from 5:35 to now 6:32, and from 6:32 to 7 something. The agents that you have on the counter are extremely rude, not wanting to give an update. These are things that need to be addressed. Persons that live or that are traveling to Man o' War and Hopetown and all of the other spots now have to charter a ferry, which is going to be at a cost for them of $250. And the reason I have a drastic or a major problem with this is this. Number one, whenever you travel on Bahamas Air, if you change your ticket, you're charged a change fee. If you're going to the States, it's $100. If you're going domestically, it's $33. Whatever it is, whatever services you're having, you're charged for it. So explain to me, why does the airline feel as if they can only say sorry to you? Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry for this. Sorry for that. No, we need you all to take responsibility and accountability, just how you expect us, the passengers, to be accountable for changes and flaws and all of the other stuff. We expect you to be accountable as well. And as the national air carrier of the Bahamas, train your staff on how to deal with passengers, how to speak to them. Hospitality is the major business here in the Bahamas. Tourism is the major business here in the Bahamas, but we do not care how we treat our passengers, how we treat our customers. We act as if, oh, hey, you have to spend your money with us. No, baby. I don't have to spend my money with you. I chose to spend my money with the national carrier of the Bahamas because I want to see this business continue to flourish. But if this is the attitude that you all are going to have, then you need to just step your game up. But customer service needs to be done at an all-time. It just needs to be reckoned straight across the board. I am sick and tired of hearing persons always give a blight or give a cold charm for negligence. No, it is time now that we as Bahamians understand that we are a brand, and that brand is represented by everybody that calls himself a Bahamian. What needs to happen now is do a U-Haul. When you do your U-Haul means training your personnel on how to deal with persons that are here in this airport. I've been at a cost of $250, but all you get from the airline is sorry for the inconvenience. No, I'm sorry for hearing sorry for the inconvenience. When it's BPL, when it's Rev, when it's every company, it's sorry for the inconvenience. But whenever you are late on something, you have to pay. They nickel and they dime us, but at the end of the day, they do not want to be accountable. Customer service needs improvement on how to deal with personnel, on how to get these matters erected. You cannot treat people like this. You cannot treat people like this and then expect them to just sit back and accept it. This is unacceptable.
Tamara, I know you have something to say. Let's go. Let's go.
I just want to be clear, Jackie. In terms of what I'm hearing, I feel like I'm hearing that she's upset that the flight was delayed. I also feel that I'm hearing that the updates were not given by the staff of Bahamas Air. And I also think I'm hearing that if there is a problem, now these people that purchase this ticket have to now spend extra money in getting a ferry. But I think the most important thing I'm hearing is your frustration, Jackie. That's one of the things you always say. Story is not enough.
It's not enough. It's really not enough. And I'm listening to her again, she is not really complaining about the flight being late because I think she feels like that do happen. So the flight being late is not the problem because, there are times when we are late for the flight and the flight is now closed. There's nothing we can do. We have to take another flight another day. But that comes with something. That comes with now paying additional monies. And I think that is a frustration. So now I can see everybody on that flight would not have shared the same frustration like that lady. Because maybe they didn't have to pay to get home, extra monies to get home. Mr. Ferguson, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I can, you can hear the frustration in that lady's voice. And listen, any number of us can relate to similar experiences. I certainly can.
Yes.
And with that same airline.
Oh, my goodness.
And I've had to say to them as well, many times, I say, man, we've gotten so accustomed to you saying sorry that it means nothing. It really means nothing to hear you say sorry. But you know, I want to say in defense of this airline, just like I would have mentioned earlier about the pilot,
Yes.
that system sometimes seems to be broken, and but there are some persons who are within that system. I mean, they are stellar in their performance.
Right.
And like I've mentioned, Ali Walker is one of those. I've had experiences before where I would go to Bahamas Air's counter and you would get the most professional service. But I've also had experiences where you go there and they treat you like we don't really need your service.
Yeah.
And so, but you know, I have said this many times. You know, in my business, I found out that what people like, what customers like, is you talking to them, like the communication. Like, let them know what's happening.
Yes.
If you're going to be late, be honest and say to them, Mr. Jones, we're going to be half an hour late. Speak to the customer and give them that level of comfort. But when you don't talk to them, and when you do decide to speak with them, it comes at like you are being disrespectful, you don't have any care for them as passengers. You know, the lady said in that voice note that she really doesn't have to spend the money with Bahamas Air. Now, if you look at it, there are some islands that no other airline goes to but Bahamas Air. So sadly, you have to really deal with Bahamas Air. But I would, and you opened up, Jackie, by saying that we are not here to really bash or anything, but we're just here to lay the cards on the table as they are and to speak the truth that there are some things that need checking into. Some people need to, the young people say, be put on blast. You need to lay some cards on the table and say, this is how it is. And these things ought to be corrected. And you know, one of the unfortunate things as we begin to talk, even outside of this studio, is the minute you start to talk about things that are not right, not fixed in this country, we tend to start leaning towards either PLP or F&M.
Yes.
When people just want things to be right. It doesn't matter who is in power. We just want to see our country fixed. And that's the position that I take. And I say to them all the time, we just need to have services rendered to us that are stellar. You know, I don't think that we should be getting poor services from Bahamas Air, for example, from BTC, from BPL, when we are paying large amounts of road traffic. And, you know, you're paying money. So I think we should, listen, if you call one of these government agencies, you will see the kind of services you get sometimes. It's poor.
You know, I did speak with an employee in the management team at Bahamas Air, Mr. Tracy Cooper. And I'm only buttoning, I'm going to say this now because you said something that he gave, you only want to be updated.
Right.
He did say to me today that the reason why they take emails and customers' phone numbers is because they send messages on the phone. But the thing about it is when you are at the airport, you really want to speak with a person.
Yes.
You want them to open up their mouths, give a smile, and show in your action that you are sorry about what happened and you're here to help.
Yes.
So it's a difference. And I think that's what was going on there. Tamara?
But Jackie, we can't keep just smiling. We can't keep just getting the explanation because this is probably, I would really like to know what is the record in terms of being on time. So when the call is calling today, 325-5403 or 325-5404 or 5405. I don't want you to just call in. What I want you to call in and give me a better idea because this problem isn't a one-off. This problem isn't something that just started. But in Table of Change, Jackie, you know what we always say?
Yes.
We have the problem. But the customer service is the problem just exists. And we're happy with the fact that that's just the problem. Yeah. But I want to know the underlying issue. Is the issue that there's not enough planes to travel throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? Is the issue that it's just poor scheduling? Is the issue that, I don't know, maybe weather or maybe it's hard to go in smaller airplanes to certain islands? It just cannot be that you're late. I just always have to believe in this bigger picture, Jackie. So one of the reasons I wanted to call in someone that may have worked at the airport before or have a little better idea of aviation to give us an idea what is the factor of why we, the customer, have to be faced with all of these delays from certain airlines.
Well, Mr. Cooper did say today, Mr. Tracy Cooper, he said they had experienced a flat tire on a flight that was coming or going from Abaco. So that was the reason for that delay. And it took them some time to get that rectified. But that is all.
Now, wait.
Okay.
I hear now. So, okay, my limited thinking, my smaller brain, I don't know what is involved, but a flat tire, I'm thinking it in terms of car. So in the car, you have a spare. So is there a spare? Is that not realistic?
Well, I think like because it's an aircraft and it goes in the air, I think they still have a lot of more inspection that they would have to do. So I can understand it taking a longer time. But the part that bothers people, human being, is that it need to be communicated to them. I think that's when we get really out of control.
Yeah, let me say what I think. Are you going to say something?
I was just going to say, but Jackie, after it's communicated, that person now still has to spend extra money because the flight is delayed.
Right.
What happens then? It's
Yes.
good for you to stand there, communicate, and smile with me, but now I'm still going to be out $200 and something.
Yes, for those person who are out funds, now Bahamas here, you have to step up your game. It's not everybody on the plane because some person on that flight maybe did not have to take a ferry. Maybe, like I said, it might have been one or two persons. But I have to pay when I'm late. You got to, that sorry is not going to do any longer. You have to, because it's costing me something now. It's not just time. It's not just that I'm probably be late for my appointment. It's costing me some more long dollars. And so now we really have to know that we're going to have to now lose some money, Bahamas Air, so that maybe we're going to start doing things better and quicker.
And the way I see it, it's about the care for your customer. It's about how much you care. Now, we all know that Bahamas Air is a government-run body. So right there, some folks, their job is almost secure according to them. Listen, I've traveled with Western Air as we talk about local airlines. And I don't really want to. Bahamas Air is my, airline of choice.
Air. We love our pilots.
But listen, if you go to Western Air, you see a difference. You see people who understand that if I report you to your superior, you can lose your job today. So you see an airline that is intent on leaving on time. And if you don't get to the airport on time, it ain't no calling nobody and telling them, hold no flight for me and all of that. But if you sit on Bahamas Air long enough, you see some folks coming in, the door is just about to be closed. And folks just rolling up but I've seen on the private airlines, it seems a little bit more, it's tighter because they understand that, listen, if somebody reports me to my superior for my bad service, chances are I can lose my job and very quickly.
Right.
But in Bahamas Air, that does and other government agencies, it doesn't seem to be the case. I do a lot of business with Kelly's. If one of those persons who answer the phone at Kelly's is rude to me or don't give what is expected, I can report them and they can easily lose their job. In a government agency, first of all, you won't even get to know the name of the person that you're speaking because the minute you ask them for their name, they take offense to that.
Yes.
And so it's about the care that you have. Let me say to you what I do in my business sometimes. When I give a customer a time that I'll be there at 9 o'clock, and I'm not there at 9 o'clock. And let's say, for whatever reason, I didn't call Jackie back and say, Jackie, I can't make it at 9. When I meet my customer and they're frustrated, either I say to them, well, Jackie, here's what I'm going to do. Your bill was $75 before I got here, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this bill $50, or I just take away the whole bill. Sometimes I just take a loss.
You got to lose something when you hurt someone.
But the customer feels better.
Yeah.
They are satisfied, and they will refer you to somebody else. With all of that frustration that they would have had initially, once you can do something, and even, listen, the biggest thing for that customer is to communicate with them. Say to them, just keep telling them. And now, let me say this. I also believe that Bahamas Air has we know that Bahamas Air loses. financially, Bahamas is not a profitable organization. They lose money from day one. They've been losing from the start. But I think management has a lot to do with why Bahamas lose. If you look at some of the things that they do as a body, you from the outside you can see problems. But it's just management. But they know that it's all about its mindset. Some folks are there just to make money, but their mindset is not to give care to the customer.
Wow.
And when your mindset is, I'm just here to collect a salary, I don't give a 5 cents about the customer, then we, as the customers, feel the effects of it. And man, the pain is great sometimes. I tell you, I don't. Sometimes you don't even want to absorb it, but you have to because sometimes they're the only choice.
Wow. I want to say at this point, the lady who did that recording, Bahamas Air, Mr. Tracy Cooper said they did try to reach out, but they were unsuccessful. And so right now, I want to let you know that you can call 702-4105. 702-4105. You can call customer who did the video so that you can speak with someone at Bahamas Air. They can feel your pain and probably refund you some of the funds. I don't know what they will do, but you can also call Table of Change as 449-9106 so that we can have you on the show, because we like to make a circle of any complaint, because we are about solving problems, changing the minds of people so that they would know that you're here to serve, and we are paying you to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, Reverend Ferguson, when Jackie and I talk about service and who we're going to have come on the show, the reason you stood out because you have so many avenues of which you are in service. You know, you are a servant of the Lord. You are a servant in the community of San Salvador with Huey Boys. You are a servant in your church. You are a servant in your business and a service in your home. Now, how do we connect being of service in all of those different avenues? What is the one key component that makes Reverend Ferguson the entrepreneur, the husband, the pastor? What component do you need to provide service in all of those avenues?
And Mr. Ferguson, Table of Change will be right back. We are going to a break.
Whatever should be expected of an insurance company is exactly what you'll find at Harvest Insurance Brokers. And right now is a great time to sign up for automobile, home, group, or life insurance policies. But at this moment, what's really amazing is their newly introduced National Workers Healthcare Insurance Plan, which is a strong and concise medical package designed for retirees or those entering retirement, starting from as low as $275 per month. Harvest Insurance Brokers, located Dowsville and Armstrong Street. Dial 326-808445.
Looking for great device deals and offers this summer? Look no further. Alive has special discounts on the latest smartphones, Ring devices, and accessories. Plus, as an Alive customer, you can expect exclusive Get Extra offers and rewards, which means even more value for your money. We're talking more data, prizes, and surprises. Upgrade with us and experience the perfect summer with Alive in store or at bealive.com/deal.
This summer is sizzling, and so are the specials at Super Value and Quality supermarkets. Kellogg's giant-sized cereals, assorted 24-ounce, $6.69. Distinction evaporated milk, 14-ounce, $1.19. Sweet peaches, $1.99 per pound. Olivia vegetable and canola oil, 48-ounce, $4.99. Whole chicken wings, $1.79 per pound. Red Hot savings all summer long at Super Value and Quality.
RBC is a bet for all of you. RBC will find the right loan for all of you with competitive rates and extended terms to suit you. Whether it's for debt consolidation, your next vehicle, or home purchase, sometimes we all need a little more. No matter the reason for the loan, we're here to help you find the solution. RBC is a bet for RBC has all the loans for all of you. Let's start with a conversation today.
Hello, I am Daniel Smith from the Carmichael Urban Renewal Future Fund Learning Hub Youth Club. Child safety is everyone's responsibility. Let's create safe environments where our children can learn, play, and thrive without fear. Teach them to speak up, to know their boundaries, and to seek help when needed. Let's work together to ensure every child's safety. Join us in promoting a culture of safety and protection for our future leaders. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of our children.
Hello, I am Woman Sergeant 3578 Kenisha Forbes. This public service announcement is brought to you by the Carmichael Urban Renewal in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
From June 1st to November 30th, the ZNS Radio and TV network is the #1 source in the Bahamas for hurricane information before, during, and after a storm. Now is the time to choose your radio and TV hurricane season ad package. Get extra special rates and run the ads only when you want them to run. Call the ZNS sales office today at 502-3800.
Looking for the ultimate in home security? Look no further. We Buy You Sell has state-of-the-art security steel doors, the fortress your home deserves. Doors so strong they're virtually impenetrable. At We Buy You Sell, our security steel doors are built to withstand anything you can throw at them. With reinforced steel and cutting-edge locking mechanisms, your security is covered. These doors come in a variety of styles and finishes. We Buy You Sell. Visit our showroom today, number 163 Robinson Road. Call 698-1140.
Abaco! Rubus is your summer connect, connecting you across the island with the best fuel and round-trip airfare tickets for two. When you fuel up $25 or more at Rubus and Abaco from May 29th to August 1st, Rubus is hooking you up. 17 winners and over $3,000 in prizes, including $100 Maxwell gift cards, $500 Rubus gift cards, and a round-trip flight for two. Fuel up and enter to win. Available in Abaco at participating locations only.
RBC is a bet for all of you. RBC will find the right loan for all of you with competitive rates and extended terms to suit you. Whether it's for debt consolidation, your next vehicle, or home purchase, sometimes we all need a little more. No matter the reason for the loan, we're here to help you find the solution. RBC is a bet for all of you. RBC has all the loans for all of you. Let's start with a conversation today.
Coming up on Pastor Rick Warren's Daily Hope.
The answer to your insecurity is not another person. The answer to your inferiority is not another person. The answer to your worries and your fears is not another person. And the answer to your meaninglessness in life and lack of purpose and your boredom with life and your deep dissatisfaction is not another person. The answer is God.
Tamara, that was a long break, so you need to repeat that question. Let's go with that question again.
Table of Change is back. We have Tamara Fox-Smith,
Jacqueline Fernanda Moxie,
and Mark
Reverend
Ferguson.
Dr. Mark Ferguson. Now, when we left you guys with some homework. We said to you, we want you to call in 325-5403 through 5. And our Family Island customers, please call in 300-8255 toll free. But when you're calling in, we just don't want to talk about the customer service. We want to find out what is the underlying issue in terms of the service that's being offered to the Family Island customer. In terms of, what is it? Not enough planes, poor scheduling. What is it? Or give us an example of what you find to be good customer service or bad customer service that you are getting out there. So we have a full scope of this whole customer service issue. But Reverend Ferguson, I really have to touch on you again. You have so many attributes. And Jackie and myself, one of the things that we believe in terms of customer service, it's no longer doing a 2 weeks training before you start a job in terms of how to smile. We've come into a deeper understanding that this customer service has to do with the whole individual. And when we look at you and we look at the fact that you being a servant of the Lord, a servant in your community in San Salvador, a servant in your church, a servant in your business, and a servant in your home, what do you think is that key component now? All of that stuff that brings together you, the servant of the Lord, the servant, the entrepreneur. What brings it for you to give customer service in all aspects of your life?
Thank you. And the simplest answer to your question is the fact that I have a relationship with Christ. Now, while others may say, so what? That relationship with Christ that I take very seriously, though I fail on many levels, I have a relationship that says to me that I have someone that I can rely on and depend on in spite of what it is I'm experiencing. So let's look at it. I remember growing up in San Salvador. I had grandparents who made sure that certain things were in place as it relates to who I would be. And so those positions of respect had to be there. They made sure that you knew what it is to say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, good morning, and all of that. And that was instilled in you so much so that even after you would leave the island, it would still be in you. Now, for me, that is the key for everything else that has happened in my life. But in addition to the fact that I have a relationship with Christ, I have a very, very loving family and a very supportive family, and a family that would push you, and if you need to be pulled back, if they need to spank you, they spank you. If they need to say to you, you're wrong, you're wrong. So I have a family, again, that is very supportive. And that causes one to at least try his or her best, and in my case, try his best to make sure that I don't disappoint my family. I don't want to disappoint my Aunt Leela, even though she is in Missouri. I don't want to disappoint my Aunt Velma. I don't want to disappoint my family in San Salvador, my sister Ivy, who is a pastor. I don't want to disappoint my cousins and my sisters and brothers here in Nassau, because I must live so well that whatever I say or do represents them and make them keep their heads up. And then I'm married, so I must live a life that shows that I'm married. Listen, I am not purporting that I'm a perfect individual, but I'm saying there are some key factors that keep me going. One is my wife, one is my family that is so closely knitted, and then I have some very good friends. I have friends in Haiti. I have friends in Trinidad, Pastor Rosa, Pastor Andrea. I have friends in Jamaica, Bishop Miller. And these people, when I think about doing something that is wrong, because the thought is always there to do wrong, I think about what will my friends say if I end up in prison? What will my friends say if I end up on the wrong side of the law? What embarrassment will I bring to my friends? And listen, in the last 4 or 5 years, I became the president of a club that you know is the Huey Boys Club. And this group of men, while they don't really know it, they have caused me to, again, keep myself, because I have to represent them wherever I go. My vice president, Henrik Nain, my chairman, Terrence Storr, we have persons in the club who are pastors, Pastor Alan Fernando, who is our treasurer, Pastor Dennis Sandel. We have all of these persons in our club, Deacon Randall Lightfoot, persons like that. And then there's a guy who used to work right here at ZNS, Vince Williams. So I have all of these people who I have to be accountable to, and I don't want to fail them. So every day I have to live an accountable life so that I won't make embarrassed my friends, my family, my wife, my church folks. And it's hard. I'm telling you, it's hard, because sometimes people tend to take advantage of you simply because they know you are a Christian, and they test your faith. But when you think about all of these people that you represent and that are looking up to you and that you have to represent, you kind of just fold yourself right into that shell, and you ask God to continue to keep you and to guide you. And so for me, again, in a nutshell, firstly, it's the fact that I have a commitment to the God that I serve. And then secondly, all of these other persons that I've mentioned, I have a commitment to them. And that's what will give a good service. Because sometimes I go to Bahamas Air, I want a costume because of how bad they treat me. And I want to carry on bad. You know, I walked into the bank today, to give you an example, and there was a guy that I didn't see, but he was in the bank. There was a lady in the bank, and I followed this lady from outside. She smelled so nice. I walked in the bank, and I said, "Ma'am, I am only here. The only reason I walked inside here is because your perfume is so sweet. I won't buy this for my wife."
Right.
And I said to her, "This is not a come on. This, give me your number because I will call you later." I said, "I want to buy this perfume for my wife." And everybody in the bank laughed. When I was at the ATM, a guy who I know so well walked out the bank and he said, "Hey, what's up?" Now, if I had gone in the bank and said something wrong to this lady, here is a gentleman who knows me from church. And he would have been able to say, "You see?" So we have to live lives that exemplify what it is we claim to be. Service for me is more than just talking. Service is the way you live. Again, like I say, you got to have the right mindset for the service that you offer. It's about purifying your mind to do what it is you have to do.
I want to drop something in there. I know that relationship is the key factor. I know my family, if they're listening, they're laughing because they know I love that word, relationship. But I'm just thinking, I'm going back further. God designed, this is not church, guys. This is how service comes out of you. We really need to be self-governed. To govern yourself. That's where it starts. You don't need a government to put laws in place for you to follow. That's not how God designed it. He wants you to say to self, this is what I need to do. Because if each individual do that, know what's right and wrong, you will then have a whole community doing it. And Commissioner of Police, this is how the crime will stop. If we will self-govern ourselves and stop depending, because the government cannot do it. We need to do it with ourselves. And that's why God wants us to have, Reverend Jared, we call the names tonight. He taught me of having a circle of people around you to buffer you. That's how God works, because he doesn't have hands and feet. And so going back to Bahamas Air, we need to do some training that's different so the people can know that you are speaking to flesh and you're speaking to spirit. And you need to let people feel the love, feel that you care when you are in the forefront.
And you are so correct. And let me say this to you. I believe that one of the challenges that we face today as it relates to service stems from, and it's unfortunate that I'd say this, but it stems from the church. And I'm a church person, and I'm saying that. What we have in churches today is pastors who want to be served. They want you to carry their Bibles to the pulpit and their iPads, and they want to almost lift them from their car and place them in their office. And they don't have a servant's heart, but they want to be served. And so when we can't get people who claim to be men and women of God, whose task is to serve God, when we can't get them to be servants,
it's trouble.
Then how do you get anybody else to be servants? Listen, the greatest level of service comes from the heart of one who is a servant. And if you don't know how to be a servant, you will never give good service.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, you have to know what it is to be a servant. That's what Jesus was. He was a servant. He says, hey, you want your feet washed? I'll wash your feet. You want something to eat? I'll provide it. I'll cook it for you. Come, Peter, let's sit down and eat. But we have too many people, particularly those in the church, whose task it is to be servants. They want to be served.
Wow.
And I'm saying the call today for all of us, particularly those of us who live within the church, who are leaders of churches, we are to know what it is to be servants. And when the world see us being servants, they won't have a difficulty in every area providing proper service, because the church is leading by example. Leaders of the churches are leading by example. We are servants. And that's all we are, Jackie. No matter what you see yourself as, whether you are a doctor, whether you are a bishop, whatever your title may be, you are a servant. If you are the prime minister, the leader of the opposition, a member of parliament, no matter who you are a servant. But one of the things that we do is we offer ourselves up for service, only to at the end of the day want to be served.
Wow.
So we kind of put a trick in there. I'm offering myself up because I want to give service. But we know that at the back of our minds, what it is we are trying to do is we are trying to get in a position where we would be served. You must have the heart of a servant in order for you to produce the service that is necessary. And that's why we are lacking. Our communities are failing because nobody wants to be a servant. Everybody wants to be served. You can't even get someone to let you out of a corner now because that seems to be a servant position. So, no, I want to be the one served. Let me go in front of you. Even if I have to turn as soon as I get in front of you. We have to learn what it is to be servants.
You know, that brought me back to when I worked at the bank. You want to see the best out of your employees when the manager is around, let them start serving.
Yes.
And you were really right about it. They will follow. And so tomorrow, you know, when we first started the show, we talk about the mission statement and how the owner of the business, you need to make sure you hire people who are on path with the same vision. Tomorrow, it's
exactly.
Yeah.
I hear you, Jackie, because
are we having some technical difficulties?
Oh, sorry. We have to share the vision. We really have to in terms of the vision. But, you know, Mr. Ferguson said something, I got to go back a little bit. And he talked about, and what I heard was the fact that he may have his master's degree. He may be a reverend. He may be all these things. But at the end of the day, he's Mr. and Mrs. Ferguson's son from San Salvador.
Yes.
And I think that we have to instill that in our children, and that will help now in terms of customer service, in terms of issues, in terms of the way, the manner, and the tone that you speak to someone in. Because not only is he, no matter how grown Mr. Ferguson is, as long as he stands there, he's Mr. and Mrs. Ferguson's son, right? They're good son from San Salvador.
Right.
And once that inner peace is in you, you are now able to speak to people in a manner that they should be spoken to. You should care that this flight is delayed because you know better than anyone what this person may have to go through now in order to get home tonight to their family. And you don't know why they're going back to the island. So I think one of the things he really touched on is, and I think when we talk about customer service, is the fact of some of this has to start from home. Some of this starts in the church. Like you said, Mr. Ferguson, the servant heart. And just to be clear, what exactly would give me a definition of the servant heart, just to make sure I'm on the right page with you?
Oh, yeah. I can give you all kind of them. But listen, you, and I go back to the church. When do you see leaders of churches, a pastor, a reverend, those who have these high names, when do you see them serving, seeing people on the street and stopping and giving them something that they need, something to eat, something to drink? As a matter of fact, let me share with you, it is difficult today to walk into perhaps any church that has a full staff and go and speak with a pastor without an appointment. No matter what, you could be dying. You have to call and put an appointment in. I went to see a very prominent bishop some weeks ago about something that was disturbing to me. And though this bishop was in his church's yard doing, I could look at him. I had to go through at least 10 persons before I got to him. And I said to them, they wanted to know, what is it that I'm here to see the bishop about? No. Listen, Bishop knows me. He's looking at me. But I have to go through this chain of command. I need to tell them what I need to see the bishop about, and they make the determination whether or not I would see the bishop. The servant heart says, listen, no matter where a sinner is, as it relates to a pastor, I will go to that sinner and I will do as Jesus did. As it relates to me, listen, sometimes I'm driving, and I'm telling you this, I'm driving, and I would see somebody who needs something, I would turn around on the highway and come back down. Somebody is broken down. I would sometimes go into church. I would turn around and help somebody. But we don't have people with that kind of heart because everybody is all about themselves and all about what about me. We've got to get to the point where we see the need to help people, where we see the need to lend to people assistance and look for nothing in return. A servant is one who is willing to give without expecting.
Well, we have a call coming in, a toll-free call. Caller, we can hear you. Okay, I guess that's not a call. Okay, Ferguson, I have a question for you. You said the pastor saw you. I want to know, did that pastor know you personally?
Yeah, and that is why, and there are those who know this story. That is why it affected me at that time so much, because I'm looking at him and he is seeing his staff, in a sense, manhandling me, that they are giving me a hard time. And this is somebody who in another arena we've had to do business. And he's looking at them, and I'm looking, and I'm saying to myself, what's going on here? Doesn't this guy see me and recognize me to the extent where he can say to them, no man, let Fergie come? And so it hurts me to know that I'm a church person, but this is the kind of thing that I had to go through. Now imagine somebody else who is not. Listen, there was a time I went to a service, a church, where I wasn't dressed like a church person. And I got, as a pastor, a reverend, I got all the hard and sit to the back and do all of this, and because I wasn't dressed up in a revival. And the next night I went dressed up and I was taken straight to the front and given all of that. And I say, bah, it's amazing how people will treat you. Because it's the mindset of people.
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
what we have to
mindset.
change.
People have to be changed in their minds to produce the kind of service that is necessary to make all comfortable. We are all important. I may not be important to you, but we are all important to somebody.
Yes, that's really true. Reverend Ferguson, I'm hoping this story was years ago. I'm hoping we still don't have pastors that do that now. And we're not saying it's all pastors, because I have a pastor that would speak to you wherever he see you. You know pastor that do it. So we're not talking about all pastors. It's just an experience that he had, and we are sharing good experiences and bad experiences. But we are just highlighting that this is where it starts. It starts from the home when they're children. If the parents don't do it, we need to create something where the children can go someplace where they can be taught it. When the kids come to school, if they miss out at home, let's do it at schools. If the teachers need more teachers' aid, we have to catch the children when they are younger. When they leave school, if you're going to hire them on the job, managers, owners, we're going to have to try and catch them there. If not, they're all going to be, whoever's the commissioner of police, they're going to have exactly what's happening today. We have to own up to it. We are part of this problem. And so now we have to find solution to solve the problem. Table of Change is willing to help. If you need someone to speak to your employees, we are available to do that for you. We will speak to them. We know you're doing your training, but we are offering something additional.
I'm happy to be here, and I want to just put this in there as it relates to the UA Boys Club. Our mission statement is community revitalization through partnership in education, disaster preparedness and awareness, medical fundraiser, and community recreational development. We believe that we are our brother's keeper. And our motto says we are one for all and all for one. Now, let me say this. And that is a motto that we are to all include in our lives. That we are one for all and all for one. So if my brother is hurting, no matter who that brother is, I ought to feel that. I ought to feel that.
Tomorrow we're going to let you wrap us up for the night.
I just had to go back to when he said, in terms of, we cannot judge people by what they're wearing. That should not be acceptable in any arena. It should not be acceptable in church. It should not be acceptable in a business. But you see how it all comes back and forth in terms of our life and the life we're living, and in terms of judging people. We should not prejudge in any arena, but oh my goodness, especially at church. I have to apologize, Jackie, to our family islanders that might have been calling in. We had a little difficulty with the phone. We do apologize, but next Tuesday, we encourage you to call in early at 325-5403 so we can get that going. Reverend Dr. Mark Ferguson, what can I say? What can I say? It was a pleasure having you on the show. You brought so much to the table, so much food for thought, and especially with the UE boys. Is there a number or something we can contact you if we wanted to get some donations or if you needed some assistance with that organization?
Sure. The number to reach us at is 525-6530. Again, that's 525-6530. And we will be happy to receive any donation that you can give. Anyone, we are thankful for it.
Well, we are thankful for you being an honorable man of God, being a servant in so many aspects of your life. One of the things at Table of Change, by bringing to the forefront this incident with Bahamas Air, we want to find out the background about it. We just don't want to have the problem. We don't want to get so comfortable with saying the flight is delayed, and that's the normality. Because at the end of the day, someone is suffering. You expected to be on a flight from 3 o'clock, and the flight doesn't leave until 7 o'clock. There's a lot of factors involved there. What are you going to eat? You may have kids with you. Now you didn't maybe budget that money and now to be able to feed them. Who knows what is opening for the airport in order to get them something to eat. It's just simple things that exasperate the fact of, the flight is late. And it's more into that than just the flight is late. Let's get down to the bottom of what is the underlying issue of why the flight is late.
Just before we close,
is it not enough planes?
Just before we're done, I'm going to say Mr. Tracy said today that they would, once it's after 4 hours, that's when they would provide food or a meal. So I just want to try it. I was trying to put everything that Mr. Cooper said, and he was really pleasant when I called. He didn't fight back, and I really appreciate that. I told him to listen in and give a call if he could, but it was just short notice for him. And remember, I'm hoping that the young lady, she is able to call Bahamas Air. The number again for you to call Mom is 702-4105. Call Bahamas Air and then call us at 449-9106. We want to hear about it, and we want to make sure that you get something for your trouble. If you had missed the flight, you had to pay an extra, so they should pay extra for you. Table of Change. Exactly.
The views expressed on this show, interview, or program are not necessarily the views expressed by the ZNS Radio Network and, by extension, the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
You were listening to Table of Change. Tune in again next Tuesday at 8 p.m. for Table of Change.